Okay, Chris, this is a little update here. I've got the linings installed and leveled, and I made them out of walnut, and then I've put them in slightly high of the sides, and then I've gone back any places where they were prohibitively high. Then I knock them down with a block plane. And then I come back with this sanding tool, which I'll show you what that is. That's this here, which has got a wedge on the other side, and it's got a piece of sandpaper on this side. It's a 2x4, and you got to kind of maintain it to make sure it stays square and doesn't warp and flat and everything. But after a long time, like everything, it becomes very stable. And then you sand those linings flush, so there's just a very slight angle. Like this top is a 28 degree radius dome, and if you use that wedge, the places that are long enough to reach the wedge and still reach the other side, then you get a little bit of an angle that accommodates the dome and allows everything to glue effortlessly. And I got over here, of course, the top, which is braced, and let's take a quick look at that. This is the 12 braces and Lucky 13 bridge plate, and you can see the braces are carefully made, nicely made, and then I have not yet scalloped the ends. What I'm going to do is roughly scallop them, then I'm going to mark where I need to relieve the linings, where they'll intersect, and I'm going to tuck them in at the linings. On the actual original Gibson, they just feathered them to 0 with really no material under the lining, which is fine, but that's inevitably where the braces fail, which is no problem. Some people contend that it enhances the sound to feather them to 0. I tend to think that it's more of a manufacturing consideration, but that said, like a time efficiency consideration. But that said, there's a lot of people who, contend differently, that it's to free up the top more. But I think the structure is more important, the way I always view guitars. But in any case, this is where we're at, and I'll give you more later. There's the inlaid and braced top just sitting there, getting ready to be marked to relieve the linings and glue the top on. Okay, what we've got here, this is the top with the ends scalloped, and then we move over here to the rim, and see we've got a nice relief here, 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 and here for the X brace. And if we've done a good job and everything is real clean, then when I put this on here, it fits perfect and has a nice positive registration. So that's going to hold it still while I clamp it the way I do it. And it's really nice. And I've checked each one of these areas to make sure that the amount of relief is identical to the depth of the brace. I use a spacer like this, both when I cut the brace ends and when I cut the reliefs. So that gets me close, and then I just do a little bit of fiddling, and I've got a nice tight little joint there. Okay, Chris, here's just a little bit more progress I wanted to show you. The back is essentially ready to go on. I've done the linings and sanded them down and done the little reliefs, and you can see here we've installed the rosette and a sound hole binding. And we'll look inside the guitar here. Bracing is very, very nice. We've got these tone bars nicely tapered here. These smaller braces, these finger braces and the tone bars and some of these up here are like the original, where they go down almost to 0 and are crushed by the lining here. And then the X braces have a generous amount of brace underneath the lining to keep them from popping up as you own the guitar. You can see I've got these reliefs here for a generous amount of brace underneath the linings on the back braces, and that's to keep them from coming up because they're the main culprit. They're the ones that come up the most in my experience. Showing you the side taper here, we start at 4 5/8 inch, and then it goes up about a 1/16 of an inch, and then it drops to about an 1/8 inch below where this one started. And then this guy has the final descent from the waist to the neck block, and the total taper, although it radius is like that, is from 4 5/8 down to 4 1/8. So it actually drops an entire 1/2 inch from the top to back. But that's much more shallower of a descent than the regular L style, which goes all the way down to 3 1/2. I have a signature inside here. I said, made specially for Chris Decker by Collin Riley, August 2012. And we're working away. It has a beautiful little tone when you tap it so far. And looking forward to getting the back on here very shortly. This is the back, and it's all braced and ready to go. So you can see when I put it on here, it registers nicely into those reliefs, and then the back strip registers on the neck block and down here on the heel block. So I'll be able to glue those, and again it fits nice and snug. It's all sanded perfectly to that dome, so it'll fit, you know, very nicely and clamp on very easily and stick very well. And there is the back all clamped, being glued on.